Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today, mostly because we're going to completely dismantle everything you probably thought you knew about being smart. You know, for decades, we've all been handed this idea that intelligence is just a fixed IQ score. It's treated like this rigid number that gets stamped on your forehead early in life, basically dictating exactly how intelligent you are forever. But what if I told you that true intelligence goes far, far beyond some static test score? What if human cognition actually develops in distinct, ascending layers? Well, today we are going to explore a really fascinating framework that reveals exactly how our minds evolve and why true intelligence is actually all about extreme mental adaptability.
So, here is our game plan for the ascent today. We'll start by looking beyond the IQ score, then we'll check out the foundation of thought, uncover what we call the level 3 trap, experience the cognitive awakening, and finally arrive at the ultimate intelligence level. Let's get right into it.
Okay, Section 1, Beyond the IQ Score. It is officially time to shatter the myth that your intelligence is just a static number you're stuck with for life.
To kick things off, we really have to face some brutal psychology truths. The reality is that intelligence actually develops in layers. It's an active, ongoing evolution. It's a climb. But here is the tension, the real problem that cognitive psychology has uncovered. Most of the population gets entirely stuck at the lower levels. The vast majority of people simply never push their minds to their full potential, mostly because they literally don't even realize these higher levels exist.
See, there's this massive shift happening right now in how we understand the brain. The old view held that IQ was a fixed score, right? It was just a measurement of how much you know or how well you perform on one specific test. But the new view, the real cognitive psychology revelation, is that intelligence is dynamic information processing. It's not just about what random facts you have memorized, it's about how you process information, how you adapt to new inputs, and how you fundamentally understand the mechanics of the world around you. And honestly, if you have ever felt stuck, I want to reassure you with this. You do not lack intelligence. Your brain just naturally wants to stay at the easier levels, where thinking is fast and automatic. You aren't lacking smarts. It's just that our brains are biologically wired for efficiency. They crave comfort. They want to operate on autopilot because deep critical thinking, it burns a massive amount of energy. It is exactly this natural desire for cognitive comfort that keeps so many of us from growing into our ultimate potential.
Moving on to Section 2, the foundation of thought. Think of this as the baseline autopilot, the metaphorical base camp of our cognitive climb, where the brain operates with the absolute least amount of effort.
Let's break down how these foundational levels are actually structured. Down at the very bottom, we have level 1. The thinking style here is purely reactive. It's automatic, driven completely by immediate emotions, habits, and impulses. Psychologically, this represents very low cognitive control. Your brain is basically prioritizing immediate speed over accuracy. Now, moving slightly up, we hit level 2, which brings basic awareness. You start noticing simple patterns and surface-level cause and effect relationships. You recognize what is happening right in front of you, but crucially, you cannot fully explain why it's happening. You're awake, sure, but you're only seeing the surface of the water, not the currents dragging things underneath.
And that leads us to a really dangerous plateau. Section 3, the level 3 trap, stuck in logic. This is the threshold where the vast majority of people arrive, get nice and comfortable, and tragically stay stuck for their entire lives.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how familiar level 3 is going to feel to all of us. This is logical thinking. It's the stage where true reasoning finally begins. You can connect ideas, you can easily follow structured arguments, and you make solid decisions based on evidence. Honestly, it feels like you've reached the peak of intelligence because it's a very comfortable, logical, step-by-step zone of reasoning. But here is exactly why logic alone fails and why we get totally trapped here. Traditional education actually operates and then completely stops at level 3. We're literally trained to think this is the finish line. But pure, step-by-step logic completely falls apart when it's faced with a messy nuance of reality. It fails at unpredictability. If you only rely on logic, you will always struggle to decode complex, irrational human behavior. Logic is powerful, for sure, but it's rigid. And reality is anything but rigid.
So, to go further, we have to step out of that comfort zone. Section 4, the cognitive awakening. Let's see how this builds and how we actually break the trap.
To escape this trap, your first step is into level 4, critical thinking. You no longer just accept information handed to you. You actively challenge assumptions and you look for flaws in reasoning. Your thinking finally becomes truly independent. Then you push into step 2,
which is level 5 metacognitive thinking. You start actually observing your own thoughts. Finally, you reach step 3, level 6 abstract and systems thinking. You stop looking at isolated events and you begin to understand massive, interconnected systems. You naturally see connections between entirely unrelated ideas. This right here is the exact root of true creativity and innovation. Because you're no longer just processing direct information, you are building entirely new frameworks for understanding reality. It's like you finally see the whole matrix.
But I want to back up a second, because the most vital turning point in our ascent is level 5, metacognitive thinking. Let's focus deeply on this. This brilliantly illustrates the exact stage where the brain finally turns inward. You don't just think about the world, you observe your own thinking about the world. You start to actively notice your own hidden biases, and you actually catch your cognitive errors in real time. This is a massive indicator of higher intelligence, because it is the exact moment your brain gains the power to debug and improve itself, a real game changer.
Which brings us right to our summit. Section 5. The ultimate intelligence level. The absolute rarest level of human intelligence. This is level 7, strategic and adaptive thinking. Thinking at this level is profoundly flexible and hyper-focused on the long term. It is defined by extreme mental adaptability. You can shift your perspectives instantly depending on the exact situation in front of you. At level 7, intelligence is no longer just about knowing things. It's about utilizing advanced cognitive control to successfully navigate reality, anticipate deep consequences, and actually manipulate outcomes in the real world. It is the ultimate real-world application of brain power.
But as we wrap this up, I need to leave you with this absolutely crucial, foundational takeaway. Growth requires extreme effort and discomfort. Reaching this ultimate level is entirely possible for you, but it demands that you force your brain completely out of its logical level 3 comfort zone. You have to embrace a life of constant mental challenge. You literally must fight your brain's natural urge to just be lazy.
So, forget about what your standardized IQ score was from a decade ago. It doesn't matter. The only question that actually matters is this: at what cognitive level are you thinking right now?